Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Bajetti Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee
requires balance. We're back, Maggie and Kara with Work-Life Balance. Today we have a special guest. Rebecca Gale, the founder of Haum Nashville, is with us. Yes. So thanks for joining us today. Yeah. So it's so funny. So Maggie and I were talking, like, how do we segue? Because there's so many different directions our topic kind of goes towards. And you are definitely on the bottom part of it, this part. The most important part.
The most important
that
part
we can't figure out.
Right.
So we're so excited to pick your brain today and
we are.
help us figure out how to balance our crazy lives.
Yeah.
So tell us about Haum.
It's a constant.
It's a constant.
So Haum Nashville is a meditation studio. It was in Nashville. Right now we're in Franklin.
Okay.
And we're hoping to get back to Nashville. Which again, we grew too big, too fast, and we outgrew our space, which is a good problem to have. And so the balance sort of tipped. Mm-hmm. And then, when people always talk about work-life balance, there's no such thing. That's why it's called a balancing act.
Balancing act. I love that.
So people are also, what I do is hopefully give people an hour to come in and get a tune-up. Okay. Take an hour for a tune-up. So I play meditation bowls. First of all, you come in, it's relaxing, there are low lights, you sit down, read a spirit animal card. I have everybody get nice and grounded first. Okay. People always want to get up and walk around the room and look at the boutique. And I say, it's a lot like running a kindergarten class or an airplane. Uh-huh. I'm like, everybody find your spot. Sit down, get anchored first. That's the balance part. Uh-huh. Get anchored first. And then if you want to get up, go to the bathroom, explore the boutique, all these things. So that's the balance. It's getting anchored into your space first. And then I play the sound meditation bowls, which take you on a theta wave, delta wave journey, hopefully seeing spirit animals and colors, shapes, all kinds of cool stuff. And it helps shut down your prefrontal cortex, which is all the know in life. Okay. Which we need, keeps us from going into oncoming traffic. That's the balance, but it can be hyper vigilant. Yeah. And so it keeps us from exploring our hopes and dreams. So for an hour, you come in, you lay down, you rest, and you get that nice equilibrium, and that gives you a chance to shut down that, what am I doing, where's it going, and just focus on the yummy, juicy yes.
I love that.
I love it.
Oh, I feel like Zen just listening to you speak.
I know.
Right I'm like,
you have such a soothing voice. You really do. I'm like,
thank you.
So how have you been doing this?
I've been doing this. So I've been a yoga teacher for a decade.
Okay.
I've had a sound studio for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So it's been amazing. I started the yoga practice a decade ago. I started teaching at Sanctuary for Yoga in Green Hills. Okay. And then it was too activating for me. I'm very sensitive to energies. And so seeing a whole group of people, it was like, lift your arms up over your head. And I was like, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. It was a lot.
Too much.
Overwhelming.
I can do it. It just, to me, it felt like a hammer, and I like to use a scalpel.
Got you.
So it's beautiful. I love yoga. Mm-hmm. It's just not my thing, which I think is, again, back to balance. You have to find what you're thriving at.
Absolutely.
And it takes time. It took me at least 5-6 years of after becoming a yoga teacher, realizing, okay, that works, that doesn't work, this works, what components work. And then finally, I had to just open my own studio because I couldn't find a job that I was good at. I had to create a job that utilized all of my skills.
Right, because they're not their skills aren't yours. So it wasn't like a one size fits all.
Right.
You needed to open your own to bring in your own practices.
Right.
Then you feel comfortable teaching in there, right?
Right.
I can only imagine.
Just do a better job too.
Yeah. Which hopefully, that's the good thing about real estate and a lot of businesses now. People have the freedom to say, I can be niche at this. I'm really good at this. I'm good at this. And you can begin to hone and build your own little nest. And then you can run wild.
Yeah.
When it's all your specific set.
No, it makes so much sense.
So,
but you don't sound like you're a Southern girl, are you?
I am. I'm from Franklin.
Okay.
You are?
I am.
Okay.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
a burning question for you then.
Yes.
So we were talking about this before you came on. You're in the South.
Yes.
This is not a very popular concept down here.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome those like challenges and those like stigmas around what you're doing?
It's been a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. It was a lot easier in Nashville. Because in Nashville you have a lot of tourists and you have a lot of more open-minded people that are coming and going. Franklin has been a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. And at least it's becoming more and more popular all the time. But yeah, we've had a few instances. I had an instance where a couple came in and after they sat down and saw spirit animal cards, they literally got up and left.
Like that freaked him out?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. And it was the most loving situation. I mean, everybody just talking and hanging out. And I felt bad. The wife was like mortified. She wanted to stay and she was like teared up. And I almost wanted to give her like my card, like blink twice if you need to get out. Like, but I mean, and the guy just, and the funny thing is he couldn't have gotten anything more like Southern American. He got the eagle card.
Oh my God.
Which is a spirit animal
So
card that's
patriotic.
like you have the strength of 1,000 suns. And they're very, it's not even tarot cards. They're very playful. And my dad was a clinical psychologist. So I always say to people, this is a mindfulness tool. Take from this what you want. All of this is science-based, it's data-based, and then any spirituality, any religion, that's up to you.
Right.
You can totally integrate that or not integrate it. I am not here to tell you what to believe or what to see. We're just riding waves. It's energy. Energy is real. And then who you choose to attribute that to is totally up to you.
So were you a yoga student for all these years prior to becoming an instructor?
My mother loved to do the Raquel Welch yoga videos, even when I was a little girl. So I grew up, attempting to do, she was doing yoga and I was like 4 years old doing the little things.
So cute.
But so I grew up around all of these principles. Now, not so much the sound portion of it that came later. I was living in India for a while, and I've lived around the world. But yeah, the yoga principles. And again, my mom is a mental health nurse, and my dad was a clinical psychologist. So I grew up with ethics at the table.
Yeah,
I grew up with openness, with therapy. All of that stuff was very and privacy and scope of practice. All of those things were. Those were, I don't want to say God, but those were very important.
Sure.
And so that is one thing that I see a lot happening across the board in wellness. A lot of instructors do not know scope of practice. And I will move on to other things, but I am a yoga teacher. I am an ERYT 500. That means I am an expert registered yoga teacher with Yoga Alliance. That is a certified program.
Okay.
They can take your license.
Wow.
And these are curriculums, these are schools. I'm a Reiki practitioner that I got in India. I have a piece of paper. I'm not sure that it's worth a whole, but it was like this old school Brahmin that I had to like journey an hour into the woods to find him. Just this whole...
I love this
That's
stuff.
a really cool accolade to have.
It's this whole
amazing.
thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of other... I'm trying to think. I studied music theory in Sfat, Israel. But I've also studied...
You're so cool.
Just a lot of like cool, like
cultural.
old school Brahmins. Also, I lived in Paris for a couple of months and just followed French girls around while they like went to... That sounds like... Not in a stalky way.
I love it.
No,
but
I love that.
like going to the pharmacies and just seeing like this beautiful... blonde woman, tan, getting off her motorcycle with her motorcycle helmet and just kind of looking around the pharmacy and just, I literally went around and like bought everything that she bought. It is a little stalkery, but I didn't know how else to like break into the culture. And then I just went home and played with everything. Yeah. But learning how to live life from every different aspect, whether it's food or makeup or going to the movies, but just living life.
Right.
But bringing it back to knowing scope of practice. So those are all things I have certifications in. I've been doing this for years. I have a little matches that after each session, I like toss the matches in a little bowl I just counted them up yesterday. I've done 70 sound baths since 2023 started.
Wow. So it's kind of I've never done one.
Yeah.
I've been invited to, like, they do, like a girls thing and everybody's doing a sound bath or whatever. Like
I think I was invited to one of yours.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. The sidebar continue.
Maybe. But is it kind of like a new, trendier thing?
So sound bath in Tibet, in India,
Okay.
These have been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Okay.
The Tibetan bowls, so the big metal bowls that you see, have been around for a very, very long time. Sound meditation is not new.
Okay.
What is newer are those crystal singing bowls that are kind of center showpiece that people are doing more now.
Yeah.
Those got invented like in the 70s.
Okay.
The reason they're so popular now is because the sound carries much larger, so you can do them for bigger groups.
Okay.
And it's also a different sequence. It's a different vibe. I love them.
I've got to try it.
Yeah. It's so
I'm into all this
Totally
stuff.
your thing too.
I mean, I used to be really into yoga.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of, since I moved out here, that's kind of got lost in the, I haven't found a studio, but I will definitely not, and not that I have no idea, maybe I stalked you, but I know where you're at. But, I love it. I did it until I gave birth to my oldest son, and like literally the day before, standing on my head doing all these crazy
oh my gosh,
positions.
we had practitioners who did that, and I was just like, oh my goodness, it's so
It's amazing.
cool. Yeah.
I feel like you're actually better because you have so much weight. It's like,
yes,
it
you can
centers
stabilize at the center. Yeah.
Stand and do.
I've actually never tried it.
Okay, well, we don't have room right here, but you'll have
just yoga in general. Never been to a yoga session. Never. I was talking to your dad about this yesterday.
My dad is a licensed yogi.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, he
hasn't
is
done
all
it.
about it.
He's very proud of his
is all
license.
about it.
He used to teach classes, but then his back gave out, so he's not
We
doing
can
it
still
anymore.
teach breath work and pranayama and mudras and philosophy, because there's 7 limbs of yoga.
Wild.
Or 8 limbs, I should know that. But anyway, there are a lot of limbs. And
Lots of limbs.
asana is only 1/8. It's 8. 1/8 of the limbs. So I think, again, as you're talking about all these different practices, Nashville, the South, everywhere here, they get very focused on Instagram, doing a headstand. Asana, the physical practice of yoga, is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. So reading about philosophy is also a limb of yoga.
Okay.
Practicing ahimsa, nonviolence, is also a limb of yoga. Eating nutritional foods, like all these different
I didn't know.
things.
See, I didn't know any of
Pranayama,
this.
just breath work,
Oh, yes, I've done that in hot yoga.
that is yoga.
Yeah.
So when people say I do yoga, what they mean is I do asana,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is great. I mean, asana,
Which is more like the workout part
physical,
of it. The physical.
And again, we could go down so
I
many
know.
different
I know.
rabbit holes,
I know.
in a good way. But
Which is what we do. So if
Yes.
you see us doing that, you can stop us because we
so
will.
the practice of asana can be a workout. It also, just like yin yoga or any other breath work infused yoga, you're basically, and you know all this because your dad does it, you're taking a hose that is wound up and the energy isn't flowing properly, and you're unwinding the hose.
Yeah.
So to make energy flow. So again, that can be a fast-paced workout to sweat it out, and that can be really good for you. It can also just be a very slow, like, unwinding process.
Amazing.
And breathing through. It's all about the lines. And people forget this, so they'll twist themselves, and which I don't teach yoga anymore, but I don't teach asana anymore. You'll see people twisting themselves into all these crazy poses, and they're like, I'm bound, I'm binding, and their back is like this, and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, yeah, you're bound, but there's no energy.
Yeah, you're
the energy
blocking
is
it all.
it's leaking out everywhere. Whereas doing this is not as important as if you have a nice straight line and you're doing this.
Gotcha.
And all the lines are going, shooting up and shooting out and shooting through and shooting down. This is better than this.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that. And again, I'll try to get off my soapbox. Yoga studios, every teacher in town is going to hate me. They already do.
No.
Definitely not.
So yoga studios no longer are making very much money on teaching yoga classes.
Okay.
They are making money, and this is the world, this is the United States, not just Nashville. I'm not calling out Nashville. They are making money on teaching yoga teacher trainings. And now the market has gotten completely saturated. And now everyone I see who was a yoga teacher are now going out and buying a set of bowls because the yoga market is saturated. So they're looking for a new gig.
Are they incorporating both the yoga and the bowl?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I have not been to many sound baths in town other than like 2 or 3 people, because we all tend to do them on the same times and days. And I would love to go, but I'm always teaching when they're doing them.
Right.
So I would like to, and I'm going to make a more concerted effort to try to go out and take the other sound baths just to see, because people come into me and they say, do you know this person? Do you know that person? And I know who they are because most of them came to my studio before they started, and have not credited me with that. And that, in terms of a work-life balance for everybody who's trying to get anywhere in life, if you go in somewhere, credit that person.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, we remember.
Oh, for sure.
We will remember who credits us and who doesn't. And we will help people who help us, and we will make sure we remember who came in and took from us and gave nothing back.
Yeah.
It's important to have the recognition.
Yeah.
Sure, especially
Yeah.
if you're doing it first and you went through all of this stuff. I mean, you've been all over the world to learn about this, to be able to teach it and practice it, and then to see you not get recognition for that, that's kind of like a stab.
In my age group, now there are people that are old dogs that are older than me in Nashville who have been doing this longer. So there are, people who've been doing it longer. I think it didn't, like you said, it didn't get trendy for a while. So I'm sure they're a little irritated, like, hey, we've been doing this for 10 years. And they're probably saying, Haum, like, who are you? I know they're not saying that because they're, but I know them. But it's one of those things that I feel like I've taken it and I've made it more accessible for a different market.
That's great.
So in terms of all of the spirituality and all the different things, a lot of these practices, there are Kundalini practices that do sound bath. You're expected to wear all white. You have to believe in a certain thing. The thing that I feel like sets Haum apart is that you are whoever you are. I'm just balancing whoever you want to be the best version of you.
That's
rather than you have to believe in a certain ideology to get there.
Right.
Well, that's only going to limit your clientele.
Right.
And for a person like me that doesn't know that I'm walking into a studio like that, I'm going to be super uncomfortable. I'm definitely not going to get balanced. I'm going to get wound the hell up and be like, I got to go.
Yeah.
I'm fight and flight right now. Let's roll.
Yeah.
And like you said, energy is everything. You want to walk in
energy
and
is
immediately
everything.
feel good.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Okay, I have a quick question for you.
Go, girl.
So actually a few more questions. But one, how do you think going around the world and actually learning that and being where it was created helped you bring it home?
for sure.
Actually home.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
You like that?
For sure. I mean, so you can't beat travel, I don't think. I mean, a lot of people experience in travel. That's why everybody does as much of it as possible. Of course, going there, you see what people believe, what they respond to, and how they view it. Even in India, a lot of people don't meditate. They don't do yoga who are native to India. It's become such a tourist thing. So I think you have to understand and respect it to keep from appropriating. I lived in India, and so by living there, you see why people originally got so into needing to go into a transcendental state. It can be a horrifying place. And I think that's something that a lot of tourists have forgotten. They go to India for a week, they go to stay at a yoga retreat, and they eat fresh fruit bowls, and they practice yoga in this safe little space that is completely isolated from real India or real whatever country you're in. And they go, I am enlightened. Mm-hmm. I studied with a celebrity shaman. Well, number one, celebrity and shaman have absolutely no business.
That's very true.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just letting
I love it.
I had my peanuts before I got on here. I shouldn't be hangry.
No, you're
I'm just
fine.
very
No, I love that you're real. That's
real.
like, forget all the myths and all the BS about it. I've been on like planes where like this whole hippie crowd jumps on, like when we're leaving Cabo, and we've been there for a whole different reason. It wasn't yoga, but we're having a good time coming home, and here they all hop on, and they're like, they smell like they haven't showered in a week, and I'm like, what? Well, they found some spiritualness out in the middle of Mexico. I'm like, I get it, but it's like there's so many different levels to it.
Yeah.
I think it's
difficult.
difficult.
People take it extremely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, and I
very
think
true.
it's difficult when you keep it homogenous and you keep it isolated. Are you really having a religious experience with 30 other white blonde women who also paid $6,000 to be at an isolated resort?
And to eat a fruit bowl.
Please. I'm sorry. You're
Love
not
it.
enlightened.
Yeah.
That's
true.
not enlightenment. It's not up to me to say what's enlightened. I take that back.
But
In
from
my
your
opinion, from my
experience,
experience,
yes.
that doesn't seem as authentic as it could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Sorry.
I've never been.
I always feel
this
bad because I don't want to
wind.
cut anybody
Oh my
off, but
goodness.
I'm gonna
I've never
flag
been on
this really
one, but-
quick. No, I was just going to ask. So, I know you do a lot of things that set you apart from other people, and your experience does as well. But what are some benefits that your clients in particular get out of the experience that they get from seeing you?
So I think one thing I make sure I do is I create a space immediately that sets the tone. You can relax here. I'm not a big fan of the term safe spaces, actually, because with everything that's going on in the world, I don't think there is such a thing as a safe space, and to falsely claim that it's just not my word. I try to create sacred spaces. I try to create spaces where you're held, but I can't tell you this is a safe space. There's no such thing.
Yeah, I get that.
But what I do is as soon as people walk in the door, they take off their shoes, they put their things down. Like I said, we anchor them. Also, a major thing that I do is doors lock 5 minutes before the session starts.
Okay.
So that, and I am big on ego deathing myself. I was late today. I also am big on outing myself. It was at 1 p.m. today, and I showed up at 1:07.
That's okay.
Well, see, it's okay for you guys.
Well, we're super punctual too, but today was just a crazy day for all
for
of us.
me-
This is such a crazy day.
And it was a crazy day, right? Mm-hmm. And you can feel that. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I don't let that into my room.
Gotcha.
So for my space, doors open 30 minutes before the session starts, and doors lock 5 minutes before the session starts. If you cannot make it in that time, something has happened. Either you're chronically late and you have entitlement issues, which is what I have, and I'm working on it. I used to be 30 minutes late. Now I'm only like 7 minutes late, so I'm working on it.
Hey, you're getting better.
Ego death, accountability, call yourself out, ego death constantly. That's the only way I get through life is constant ego
Oh
death.
my gosh, I love it.
Or maybe you got a ticket or something happened or your child is sick and you couldn't make it through. But for the group energy that I'm bringing in that day, I can't have that.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, you were late, doors lock 5 minutes before, you're not coming in.
Well, everybody's
Whatever-
getting grounded, and here you come
everybody's getting
disrupting.
grounded, and
Yeah,
whatever
messes
energy,
everybody
whatever
up.
hectic energy
Yes.
you have from the
You just
profane world,
brought it
you
right
just
in.
bursted all of the hard work that I just spent an hour setting up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a main thing.
Makes total sense.
That I do. And again, like I'm, if you're going to a lunch or whatever, like I'm not a stickler for time. It's just planes, Broadway shows, and meditation.
Broadway shows.
Planes, Broadway shows, and meditation.
And you better get on the
Don't be
plane
late.
because it's not waiting for you.
It's not waiting for you. And that's the same thing with meditation. We're going on a journey. We're taking off.
Yeah.
So if you miss your plane, you missed it.
it.
Like,
It's a good
Catch it next time.
catch you the next time because we're going as a group. And that's another thing. I really try to focus on facilitating group energy.
Okay.
So I give everybody a crystal. I help everybody get grounded. I try to make eye contact and talk to every individual person before we start. But also once we get down, I try to say, here's what's going on with astrology right now. If there's a specific world event that's big, I sometimes will incorporate it. Sometimes we're wanting to escape from reality. Sometimes it's important to bring it in. So it just depends. And then I try to very much say, hey, I'm moving energy from person to person to person. Because self-care is very important, but there are only so many murder shows you can watch, and eye mask you can do, and wine you can drink to try to fill your own battery. Sometimes you need to ping off of other people.
Right.
So it's important to me to keep that energy clear in terms of if there's anything that's really toxic, I try to move it out. Number one, boundaries. Hopefully not much has gotten in. Because in order to step through my door, you have to book online. You have to book in advance. You have to have a credit card. You have to be on time. So most of the toxic energy doesn't even make it in.
Yeah.
But if there is anything left over, I try to move that out, and then I move from person to person and facilitate all the good energy. And again, you're going to have different types of people. People that don't have a voice that need to speak up, people like me that are just way too loud, way too big. And what I've done is created a job for myself where I can give it away. I have way too much, so I'm constantly pushing it out and giving it out to people who need a bigger voice, who need things. So those are some of the things. And like I said, I'm really sensitive to energy. So I can notice if I'm playing a bowl and somebody sort of twitches away from me, I can say like, oh, okay, I'm playing sacral. Maybe there's some sexual trauma there and I need to lay off of that for a minute. Let's go over here. Let's see if we can open up something else.
Wow.
And then move it back over.
Do you see people getting more comfortable?
Yes. And again, every session is totally and completely different from session to session. And for the group tends to have a group energy. And I'll do a little bit of individual work within the group, but I'm very sensitive to we're only going where the weakest link in our group can go. Again, like if I want to play crown chakra and somebody in the group just, they're not going to be able to get there, it's going to make their head explode, we don't go there.
Wow.
So,
and you know that because you feel it.
Because I feel it.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
That's amazing. I mean, it really takes a special person to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Is that a learned trait or you think that's an innate trait?
It's both. So I get that question a lot. Okay. So ever since I was a small child, I was always very sensitive to vibration. Not necessarily sound, vibration. Okay. I tell a story that's a joke of when I was this was later in life, but like in high school, I grew up in a ranch style house, and my dad, I was in the, at the other end of the house, my dad was in the bedroom with the door closed, and I was in the bonus room with my mom watching TV, and I was like, ugh, Dad's clipping his toenails.
Oh, serious? Oh, wow. Okay.
And my mom was like, what? And I was like, oh, he's clipping his toenails. It's driving me nuts. And she was like, he is not. And I was like, I can feel it. Wow. And it, again, for some reason, something in my bones, I could feel that pressure and that clink. I feel it in my bones.
Even though he was in the next room?
Not the next room, across the house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And she was like, no way. And the TV and door shut, all this stuff. So she went to the other end of the house. I was like, check. And I went and stood in the kitchen. She went to the other end of the house. She opened the door. She peeked in. She goes, oh. She closed the door. She turned around, looked at me and went, he's clipping his toenails. So 2 parts. Yes, it is an innate ability. Uh-huh. I had a lot of trouble in my late teens and 20s binge drinking because I was so sensitive and I could not, there was no dial. It was an on-off switch. Okay. So it's an innate ability, but it gave me a lot of social anxiety because I could feel everything from everybody. Mm-hmm. And now I'm 39. So again, some of this studying yoga, going to India, going to all these places have given me the tools to censor it and refine it.
And calm that noise.
And calm the noise and also learn how to use it. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's 1 in 8. I describe it like being like Spider-Man when he gets his skills, but he's just like shooting this stuff everywhere and he doesn't have any idea how to control it.
Right.
So you have it and then you have to learn how to use it. So it's both.
It's both.
It's impressive. Yeah. It really is.
Because
it's been decades of learning. Yeah.
I bet it has. Yeah. And to be able to, like you said, calm that noise because the vibrations, that would mean everywhere you go. The grocery store, anything must have just drove you kind of crazy. Like
it was
even
difficult.
The car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say that sometimes too, though. You've got that. I think you've got a little bit of that.
Maybe
you need to be a yogi.
Maybe. Do I need to change
never
career
even tried? Well, let's not go that
I'll give you credit. I promise.
Don't beat me up.
But no, I mean, we talked about stuff, but I have ADHD, so it's just really weird. Like which this is the example I gave you.
Yeah.
I've gotten my nails done before, and if they clip them too short, I like freak out. And if I have one shoe on, it's tighter than the other shoe. My brain physically like cannot think of anything else except for that problem until it goes away.
Right.
No, I had like a mental breakdown one time because the nail lady cut my nails too short, and it was just all I could think about. Like I could literally feel it. And I don't know that sounds so weird.
So
to
then
say
you
out
have
loud,
to learn how to turn that into a positive.
Right. which I have not figured out.
Right. And so again, that's why when I was teaching group classes, no, I could do it. It just wasn't utilizing my skill set. I could, again, and I'm very lucky that my parents taught me, like, do you want to try to calm down a problem, or do you want to try to minimize your weaknesses, or do you want to try to focus on your strengths? And my parents always tried to tell me to focus on my strengths. I'm not very good at math. So I play bowls for a living. Like, I can, do my taxes or have someone
do them.
Yeah, have somebody do them.
If I had parents that were like, you have to be good at math, and force me to be good at something that I'm just not naturally great at, that would have been hell.
Yeah, sure.
I'm very lucky that my family were supportive of being like, you have an unusual set of skills. Let's focus on that. And it allowed me, like I said, and I think every single person can do this, of take whatever you're good at and then build a world that makes you the best at it.
Right.
Hone in on those skills.
Hone in on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to how you took these skills and turned it into a business.
Got me. I mean, I was literally fired from every job I've ever had, including wife.
Including Damn it. He's old news anyways.
Yeah, he's old hat. And I mean, most of it was from being late, which is, like I said, so funny that I make people. But I just, with my ADHD and with my ego issues, I just thought I was too good to be doing what I was doing, and I was late everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't quite know how I got there. Was I wanted to be a travel writer, and because that's a very just travel the world, do whatever I want, spoiled brat. And it turns out they either don't make very much money, or, which I was like, ew, nuts to that, or they are like college professors that are on sabbatical or other things that just didn't really interest me. And I got a little lost. And then I was like, oh, I'm lost. What should I do? I should become a life coach. Because all the life coaches have no idea what to do with their own lives. Just become life coaches. Anyway, I'm just worse. I'm going to have a target
here
on my back.
I love it.
But that's not true. I know some really lovely coaches. I won't name them by name now, because then they're going to be like, you lumped me in with the bad ones. I'll give a list of people I do like.
Probably be less controversial.
There are a lot of good people out there in Nashville. But so I didn't quite know what to do. And in order to become a life coach, you have to have a prior certificate. And so my mom was like, you grew up doing yoga. Why don't you become a yoga teacher so that you can become a life coach, since you don't know what to do with your life? So you should definitely tell other people what to do with theirs.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So again, I would say, before hiring a life coach or anyone, ask them what they've done with their lives. And if they've had successful businesses, or if their business is only based on being a coach or being part of some bigger conglomerate, it's probably a pyramid scheme and a scam.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky that I did not fall down that rabbit hole, because I went to this yoga teacher training and fell in love with it. And every time I would be at a cocktail party or anything, someone would tweak their neck or something, and I'd say, oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And people eventually said, Becca, why don't you do that? You love it. You talk about it all the time. So I started teaching classes. You cannot make any money teaching yoga. The only way people are making money teaching yoga is if they're 20 years old and they're bartenders and they just love yoga, and so they're teaching, or they're, independently wealthy, or they're a housewife or something, or house husband,
or a hobby,
house person,
yeah,
and they're just doing it on the side, which is beautiful. Again, I always hate saying these things, because I know a lot of really talented, lovely people who are yoga teachers who fall into those categories, but that's not their primary income.
Right. Yeah.
And so in order for me to want to be an independent woman, it was a struggle. So I got married. Anyway, down the rabbit hole. Do I have ADHD? Yes.
It's okay.
So I started teaching classes. Then that wasn't really enough for me. And I had started dating my ex-husband, who was a terrible influence, and I was always like missing class, and just I was like 27.
Yeah.
And so then I would say I stopped. Sanctuary basically fired me. I don't blame them. I love them. I love Daphne and Tom still. Tom Larkin, speaking of shout outs, basically made Haum what it is. He was my yoga teacher for 10 years. He was my mentor, is my mentor. And man, I messed up so many times, and he would always take me back as a teacher. And so it is important to have mentors. But so Sanctuary was like, we love you. You're a hot mess. Thank you, but no. Go find your own way. Come back when you can show up. Yes. And so I left there. I put in my two. No, they were like, get the fuck out of here. So I still studied with them. Anyway. So I left and went off and started doing my own thing, and I was going to people's houses. I guess I was doing that overlapping, but as it went, whatever. So I started going to people's houses with my little yoga bag and teaching one-on-one privates. Ended up getting really into tea ceremonies and aromatherapy and building out like these whole programs. And I was trained very classically on vinyasa yoga of like sun salutations and all this stuff. And when I started teaching private sessions, I started getting these really type A business people. So people who, again, need the work-life balance and they're runners, they're bikers. They don't necessarily need yoga for fitness. They really needed the yoga for stress relief.
For their mind.
And for their mind.
Yeah.
And so that part, I sort of cut my teeth just giving people what they needed, and then when they said they needed something else, being like, well, how do I do that? And then going and learning about it and asking Tom Larkin of Sanctuary for Yoga. Well, he has Haum Fitness now, which is so amazing. So his fitness studio is Haum Fitness, and he does online and in studio, and mine is Haum. But when I stopped and thought about it, I started mine before he broke away and did his own, but I was his client. I was his student for 10 years, and he had a little OM on the wall. So I think subconsciously Haum, really he's the OG. He did it first. It was subconscious. But, so it's cool.
That's
so
very
Haum
cool.
really is based out of Sanctuary and based out of Tom Larkin and Daphne Larkin. So
good at the shout out.
Yeah. You have, again, it's so important to honor your teachers.
Credit where credit is due.
Yeah. But where was I? So I started going to people's houses, would ask Tom for help, and then naturally people would say something like, oh, my friend got me this as a certificate, but I just found out that my friend, or a friend of a friend, not the same one, died, and I'm exhausted. Can I just lay down? I don't know. I don't think I can do a workout today. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, let me pull on my training. I know Thai massage. We did a weekend of Thai massage with, I can't remember his name. I'll have to come back and I need to do all my credits, but I'll give you a little sheet with so-and-so. And so I know how to do some Thai massage. We'll do some Thai yoga stretches. So we'll do hands-on assisted yoga. Okay, there's this. I know that neroli is good for grief. And so let's do a tea ceremony. So I started building in, and it just gradually moved from active yoga to hands-on assisted yoga, to hand and foot reflexology, to aromatherapy, to tea rituals. When I say tea ritual, just pouring a cup of tea. There are people who do very intense. Okay. So mine was just pouring. It was just a nice cup of tea.
Just a nice cup.
Right. So it's customized per person.
Customized, and it was customized to the person. And knowing marm-up points and knowing mudras. And again, I was hungry to learn.
Yeah.
And every time I had a client, I wanted to know how to help. And so I just kept learning and learning and learning, and then more classes. And every time Sanctuary would put out a some workshop weekend, I would do that. Simon Park. Simon Park was the Thai massage guy. Simon Park, amazing guy, Thai massage. So I just would go from person to person, and I would just learn and learn and learn. Anyway, over the years, got bigger, decided that I didn't like going to people's houses anymore because it was draining my personal battery. So I started teaching out of my place at Terrazzo, which was illegal, did it anyway. got big enough, and then had a studio in the little brick house over on Music Row, little yellow house, and did that for a year or two. Got some big name clients. I guess it was about a year. Did big name clients, had some really big a lot of people that I won't break confidentiality, but a lot of big people. And then this very toxic man that I was dating asked me to marry him. And I did. And I mean, damn it. Yes. And he was, he was a very big, prominent person. And so he was like, you don't have to work. You don't have to. And it was not like that immediately. We got married, and he was like, I don't like you working after 5 because we have cocktail events to go to. I was very much a trophy wife at that time. I don't want you working on the weekends because we're going out of town. I don't want you working on Fridays. I don't want you working on Mondays. I don't want you working on men. Okay.
So you're limiting me down to 3 days a week in my...
How am I going to make my rent?
Yeah.
Doing 3 days a week, women only, from the hours of like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
This is not doable.
It's not doable. So eventually I let that space go and became a housewife. Made a lot of cheese plates. So,
Oh my God, I love you so much.
You two are two peas in a pod. That's all I'm going to say about that. That is so sweet.
We're closer in age.
The marriage did not work out. We parted ways. That's all I can say legally. So did not work out. You got back to where your
heart wanted to be. Yeah.
And then as soon as that marriage dissolved, I picked up where I left off. I was getting ready to go to India before that. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll go to India. So I took my Ayurvedic practitioner program from James Bailey, another great guy at Savanti Institute, and studied all that while I was going through my divorce. That was...
Wow. Horrible.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
You needed all the Zen you could find.
I mean, people...
You're like, every single form of meditation there is.
Yes, it was a lot. And I mean, people would like break for lunch, and I would like go out to my car and like take a nap in the car. And people didn't even know. So I mean, the things that people don't know that you're going through. Anyway, and so then went to India, was supposed to be there for a week, but I went early because it's a long trip. I stayed late. I fell in love. I traveled the world. I got swept off my feet. Came back. That didn't work out because that person ended up being a little too controlling as well. I had a bumpy patch there with control. It's almost like empaths and sociopaths. Like there's like some kind of link there.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So I'm learning.
You're learning.
So I came back and then reopened a practice back in Franklin, out of a studio down in Franklin, which is where we are now. So opened a studio in Franklin, left that, went to Nashville, taught out of my house in 12 South for a long time, grew and grew and grew. It was like once a month. Sarah Scarborough of Tea Huntress, she was kind enough to, before my space was ready, she let me rent out her tea spot in 12 South when she still had that, and I'm grateful for her for that. And again, a lot of like a little help along the way while my place was being painted.
Yeah.
And so it's still funny, again, for anybody who's out there, and I don't know how we are on time. I'm just like...
You're fine.
For anybody who's wondering and like, do I just go for it? Like, I just kept going for it. Yeah. The first session at Firepot Chai, I set up all the cushions and I did all this stuff, and I said, okay, we're going to have a group like yoga session with like some bowls or some drums or something, and no one showed up.
Really?
Not one person.
No.
I wasn't good at advertising yet.
Oh.
Like I'd worked at studios, or the house I was working at was a hair salon, so there was always like sort of internal marketing. So going off on my own for a group thing, anyway, no one showed up. The session ended. My mother was there.
Aww.
And she was like, do a video talking about how great it was. And I was like, no one came. And so she was like, it's fine. And so I think I still,
make it.
I still have the video. I have the video, and I'm like sitting there, and I think I'd like teared up before, and I was like, okay. And I like sat up, and I was like, that we want to thank everybody for coming in. It was so awesome. We had such a good time. We didn't even get any photos of everybody here. It's just that hour just flew by.
Amazing.
Join us next time.
Everybody was just feeling so relieved. They didn't want to look at their phones.
I bet it worked.
That was 5 years ago. The next session, 4 people came. The next session, 8 people came. The next session,
Amazing.
12 people came. And then again,
Domino.
Yeah, it was a domino effect. And then with that, so the first time, and again, Sophia Ray, who does Projet Chocolat, she's amazing. She introduced me to Evan Stoner of Poppy and Peep. Sophia sort of sounded the troops and told a bunch of people to come in. And then my mom like literally went out on the street, and there were like pregnant women walking down the street. She was like,
cheerleader,
come in
Yeah.
and come sit for an hour. And
That's amazing.
Having community is so important. You have to have the talent, but you also have to have all these people like pushing you up.
Because it takes a village.
It takes a village.
Truly does. And yes, we talk about that all the
yes.
time.
And then Sophia said, I know this great guy, Masood Taj. He plays different musical instruments. He does sound bath. He's the old dog who's been doing it longer than me. And so that he came in and played bowls, and then Tom Larkin came in with the harmonium. David Spock he does drumming. He works with Vanderbilt. He came in, and what was cool about it was every time we would do a session, after no one showed up the first time, the musician from the first one wanted to come back to the next one. So I think Masood was the first one. He played flute, and he brought his partner Dina, and she did some drum stuff. And then the next time David came, but Masood wanted to come back. So then it was like Masood and Dina and David. And then by the last one, I think Tom came in, and he was playing the harmonium. So it was Masood and Tom and Dina and Tom.
So it just kept growing.
It just kept growing.
Right. Incredible.
And me, and I, at that time we were doing Kundalini, and David, and we were doing Kundalini stuff. And then it naturally grew and grew and grew. And anyway, and so then we tried to have multiple people coming into the house doing things. But to be totally honest, it is very hard to split the pie that many ways.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And people were like, oh, I loved it when it was all of you guys. And I was like, There's not enough to go around, which is, I don't mean to have non-abundant thinking, but just realistically. And so I went off on my own, and I still use Masood's artwork. I still have some other things from other people, but there just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So I would love for like in 10 years to like get the band back together and do some big like thing for, a charity that's thousands and thousands of dollars, and we can all do it. But just from a business standpoint,
it didn't make sense.
You can't do it.
You can't do it. Yeah.
And so I said I wasn't going to come on here and give away all my secrets. I'm giving away a lot.
No, but honestly, like just listening to you, you have a special talent because you've taken so many different practices and you put them together. And so most people are so specialized in one field, and that goes across the board on a lot of professions. Even you can use us as real estate. You're specialized in just real estate. Well, if you're not kind of diversifying a little bit, you're just another person.
Right.
You don't really bring more to the table. Right. So I think listening to you are like a little bit of everything, and that's incredible. Like,
it's not one
that's
size
so
fits all.
Talented.
Thank you.
I mean, that really takes somebody with the brain that's going to learn all that. And have all the
I went to Vanderbilt, so that and $7 will get you a latte.
Yeah, and it's just like, too, you are an empath, and you can just tell, and you can just give off such a good energy and just take away energy too. It's just even being around you. I mean, I don't know what kind of aromatherapy you've got going on.
Oh, this is lift
But
tea.
I've just been so zen, literally so zen. I've loved talking to you.
It's her voice.
It is my voice. But this is lift tea from High Garden. Which another people that I love.
Another shout out.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it. Well, again, I think there's a big difference between like sponsored, or just like, these are the people who helped me get here.
100%.
These are the people that I lean on who have helped me. And when you have a microphone, it is your duty to shout those people out.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do they say? Humbled beginnings?
Humble beginnings.
I mean, that you got to remember where you come from.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And High Garden, I mean, so I'm drinking Lift tea there, which when their studio shut, I was heartbroken. The tornado took took their studio away.
No, I hate
It was a
that.
tea shop, a magical place. And we actually Haum did a sound bath. We helped raise some money for them. But every Monday, back when I was teaching on the weekends, all weekend, whenever I was done with my week, I would go like limping into High Garden and I would sit at their little kombucha bar and just be like, give me all the magic. And I would drop like $40 and I would get like broth, and they would just load me up with like broth and tonics and kombuchas and just love.
Okay, that's actually is just super random, but is there one in Franklin that I've never been to one here. I'm new. I'm only 2 years.
A kombucha bar?
Yes.
Urban Market has kombucha.
Okay.
They have on tap kombucha.
Really?
Yes. And
They
I
have
love
one
to
like
do
that in
like suicide
Murfreesboro, too.
kombucha and I like mix all three of them.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah.
I love a good health bar or
Yes.
like something like just
Yes.
get the good teas and all the good essence.
Which Urban Market, another one that's veteran owned, and I remember when they were one tiny little shop
On Franklin Road?
On Franklin Road.
Yeah, I drive by
and
it.
They've gotten
Okay.
bigger and bigger, and James Gardner provides them with eggs. Who's another guy, East Franklin Farmers Market. Go check him out.
I love it.
You're like,
Go check-
I love
you want some
it.
eggs and
This
some
is a good to know
teas?
Franklin
but
episode.
it is because when you're talking about work-life balance and what fuels you,
Other people.
you can say it's honey or it's eggs. No, it's James Gardner's eggs.
Yeah.
It's kombucha. No, it's a small veteran-owned business kombucha. It's Urban Market's kombucha.
Right.
Like it is
Local.
these local places that, and they know you, you know, and I don't know. It
I
makes
love
a
it.
difference.
It makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. So to circle us back around, what do you do in particular to achieve a work-life balance?
Again, there's no such thing. I do. I
Very
just-
true.
What I try to do every morning, one of the main things I try to do every morning when I first wake up, I put on a little 6-minute meditation. And I will listen to that in bed. It is my own meditation, which is just a little narcissistic, but it's true. I mean, it also helps me
I love it.
when I need to know when I'm going to do another round of them, like what I love about it and what it doesn't work. But it's from root to crown chakra. And so you start on Monday with root chakra and get rooted, and then by Sunday it's crown chakra. But mainly, if I get out of bed, if I try to start making coffee or look at my phone, I get distracted and something else happens. Even if I try to get up and go to the bathroom first. So the first thing I try to do in the morning is I put on that meditation. And Insight Timer also has great meditations. Not as big of a fan of Headspace, but Insight Timer, it's free. It's online, or you can listen to mine at Haum Nashville on YouTube. But
Yes. Home Nashville
Haum
on
Nashville
YouTube.
on
We'll link
YouTube.
it.
Yep.
But what I like about doing that first thing in the morning is you're still in that delicate theta wave, delta wave state. So before you wake up totally, you put that on, and you have to be careful because I have fallen back asleep. So you have to sit up enough that you don't like put yourself back to sleep, but you're still in that suggestible state before you're fully awake. So all the information still has a way to soak in.
Okay.
Another thing I love to do is I like to light a morning candle, especially in the winter. We're lucky we've been having really great weather, but it's just a way to drink in the flame into your soul.
Okay.
And so it's a nice meditation. It's really healthy for your vision. It's a Tritaka candle gazing. Again, I have one on my website. But these are the reason I'm saying all this. I only put things in my crystal boutique or on my website that I actually use
Right.
Yeah.
and do.
Right.
I don't sell crap.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because I'll have people come in and say, have a sample of this, and would you like to carry this? And I'm like, thank you, I'll try it. And if I don't like it,
I'm not going to support it. Yeah.
I have friends that do
Yeah.
things, and I'm like, I love you. I'm not putting that in my shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some things are, So I need to be better about Epsom salt baths. That is something that is key, and I don't do it as much as I should. But the morning meditation and card pulls, again, card pulls, journaling, all the stuff that I put into my sessions, those are legitimately things that I try to do. I try to do them every morning. If I can't, I can't. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a saint and I do it every day.
Right.
But I do try to do a daily card pull because it helps set my day.
Okay.
So I'm big on morning rituals. Wind down rituals, okay, but usually by the time it's late, I'm so tired.
You just wanna hit
I
the
wash
pillow.
my face
Yeah.
and I need to up my skincare routine, but I'm just ready for bed. But
Yeah.
doing all that stuff in the morning, or the sun salutations, or like 10 jumping jacks, or something just to get your heart beating. Big on morning rituals.
Yeah. Well, and self-care.
And self-care.
It's all about self-care, huh?
Yeah. Which, again, something is always out of balance. I think that's, again, it comes down to, what is it? The devil wears Prada, when he said, well, just let me know when your whole personal life goes up in smoke. It's time for a promotion. We all we're trying to get away from that. And I know a lot of UK businesses are going to move to the 4-day work week and so there's so much progress and there's so much going in the right way. But it is true. Like, how are you balanced? No one is balanced. You're always trying
to be the best on
balance.
Everything and balance.
Yeah.
It is a balancing act. That was the perfect way of saying that, because like, I just know for my personal life, like I'm a wife, I have a career, I've got 3 kids. There's no way in hell I'm perfect on any of them or even balanced on any of them. Like something's
always
giving. And it's like, damn it, I want to be everything and the most perfect you can. But there's no such thing.
No such thing.
And all it does is give me anxiety.
Yeah, that's why it's so important.
It's
so important to have those routines that work for you and that you like, that ground you and just you so that you can give your best to everybody.
Huge with routine.
Yeah.
Even when like it's like this last weekend was a 4-day weekend, and we're like, wait, why? Like we have our Monday ritual. We start a Monday with Mondays with Maggie. Like, why is it off today? And it kind of just throws you for a little bit of a loop.
It does. Now our whole week's kind of been weird.
It's like, what's today? I know.
So it's windy today.
It's windy. Okay, we're
the other thing. So rituals are very important, but the other thing, as we said, community. I am fortunate that I have a lot of really great girlfriends.
Yeah.
That also most of them happen to be in the wellness sphere. And a lot of things happened last year. I fell off the horse with a lot of stuff last year. My business went from being in Nashville, doing very, very well, to being forced into Franklin. And I was going to try to get it back to Nashville. And then my father got sick with cancer and passed away 6 weeks later. And so the business got kind of put to the side.
Sure it did.
And so, not to the side. I was showing up fully for the existing business, but all the plans of growth that I had planned for that year got pushed to the side. And so it happens. And my girlfriends tried to help me. And I wish I could say that with all these really phenomenal women that I know at the Love Shack, Jenny Weaver and Hayden Blaine at the Love Shack, they do feminine empowerment and they are amazing. And Valentina Bain, who is a life coach, who is one of the good ones. She's one of the good ones.
She's a good one.
All these... Terry Vo, who is a phenomenal woman and will be doing great things, just know her name. She's on AAPI Council. Powerful, strong women who, when I fell,
Okay.
When I fell, they tried to help me, and I would not let them. Yeah. And I pushed them away, and I pushed them away for months and months. I gained like 15 pounds, not in a body shaming way, just my body was out of balance. I'm still needing to get back on the horse with those things because I like to jump and play, not out of body image, but out of wanting to be in good health.
Yeah.
I pushed them away and pushed them away. And then finally I got to a point where I was like avoiding them because I didn't like how I was. And I was like, I can't hang out with them anymore. They're all in this bigger wellness sphere and I've fallen off. And I had to just out myself and say like, I need help.
Yeah.
And they showed up for me fully.
Showed up for you.
And
and you let them,
and I love them.
And you let them in.
Yeah.
Because you had your
so important.
You were fighting some, that's a lot of loss.
It was a lot of loss, and especially with the business moving, and we had made it through years of COVID, and I never shut down the business.
Yeah.
So to bring it back
change.
full circle of how Haum became what it was, once we did move to the 12 South location, the skip that I skipped around in there is we were at the Nashville location. Codes shut us down, and I wanted to shut down, and one of my clients was an orphan, and she said, you can't shut down, this is my home.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
stop. I'm gonna
oh
cry.
man.
And I was
It
like,
just gives you that motivation to keep going.
This was pre-COVID.
Okay.
This was like 2019. It was right before, like the December before the tornado, all those things. Anyway, long and short of it, so people were like, don't shut down, we need you. And I was like, what am I going to do? Code says shut me down. The guy I was dating at the time had an Airbnb on his second floor. I shut down. I made him, I rented out. He moved into his Airbnb. He made me pay him for the Airbnb, which a lot of people were like, you need to not be with that person anymore, which I'm not.
Yeah.
He is a lovely person. I won't say his name, but he is lovely. But that was a kind of a dick move. But I rented out his downstairs, and I moved everything, hired a moving company to move all of my stuff there, moved all of his stuff into storage, and started seeing people out of Woodbine for a month and said, we've got a Christmas village. Oh. We're just too big. Oh. We're too big and we need more space for Christmas. And so I moved the space to that area for a month, laid low, waited for codes to go away. And then a month later, in the cover of darkness, moved the entire, and my landlord had to come and like inspect the place. We were stashing things.
Oh, wow.
Like rose quartz spheres and kitchen cabinets, like blanket. I mean, because he was like, you're doing stuff and I need to know that you're not. And it's
don't open the cabinet.
Yes. And so long and short of it, moved everything there, moved everything back a month later, did it for another long period of time. Then the tornado hit. Then COVID hit. I was looking to move into a bigger space, but then COVID hit. I'm really glad that I didn't, because if I had, the whole business would have shut down, because I would have been doubling my rent, which at the time I was fine with because I was doing very well. But with COVID, everything's shut down. It would have been really bad.
Yeah.
Long and short.
So much change going on.
So much change. Long and short, I did not get that space, moved back. Then COVID happened. I started selling crystals out of a toolbox in my backyard.
Oh my gosh.
You just made it work.
You were making it work.
dressed
You made it work. You just
as
kept
Tiger
trying.
King. And did
Tiger King,
I did live sales dressed up as Tiger King, as Carol Baskin.
Stop.
You're being serious.
You went
I'm
there.
being serious. I
dressed up as that was a joke or not.
No. I dressed up as that the guy, the creepy guy.
Please tell me you have a photo.
I have the photos. I have the live streams. I put a meditation cushion under my belly, and I took white
Holy cow.
hair, dry shampoo, and I gave myself like a little white goatee and the white thing so that I could be like Dr. Earl, whatever his name was, the creepy guy. I created a Heidi character that loved to drink and talk about crystals. Oh my God. And I tap danced really hard, and I never shut down the studio.
Oh, my girl.
I just never gave up.
You freaking hustled is what you did.
I just hustled.
That's important.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and then we were big, and then they shut us down again, and then we moved to Franklin, and then my dad died, and then now we're coming back, and then now we're hopefully in 2023 going to find a new, bigger space.
You're a survivor.
Thanks for coming on that roller coaster with me.
That was amazing roller
That's the best way to put it. You're a survivor.
You're a survivor,
Thanks so much for coming on today. It's been amazing
so
hearing
great.
from
And
you.
I am coming to visit you.
Okay.
Yes.
I need
This is very much her thing.
This is my jam, and I have not found one since we moved here. It's just like, it's a comfort thing. Like Pilates was really important in my life as well there, and I haven't found that. So I'm just on my Peloton. But I need.
I love that. Oh, follow me on Peloton.
Are you a Peloton girl?
Yes, I'm on Peloton.
I'll be there
I'm trying
in the
to get
morning.
back on. I've been doing it better in the last 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yes.
girl, I'm on every morning. I'll give you a high five.
Bourbon blonde.
Oh, bourbon blonde.
I
Oh,
love it.
hey, I'm very
That's your
generic. It's Kara
signature.
You'll find me very
Yes,
easily.
yes,
And
yes.
I'm going to come visit you, and you're so inspiring. And
Thank you.
Oh, I just feel like
Yeah.
happy talking to you. So
Yeah.
I can
just
imagine
keep
what your studio's like.
I keep it very real. And again, you said like what sets the studio apart. I will tell people, again, I've learned to ask if they want to know, but I will tell people what I really see and what I really think.
Yeah.
And most of the time people like that.
When we get off here, you
amazing.
can do that for me. But
Maggie,
Only
you're
if it's a
looking a
good
little
thing.
gray today.
only if it's a good thing.
Aw, thanks, girl.
Yes,
so again, follow Rebecca.
Yes.
Throw out your website again.
It's Haum Nashville, HAUM Nashville. And mainly we are also, I have a YouTube that has some stuff on there. And then also my Instagram, which I do live stream, and all of the live streams are free.
Oh my
so
gosh,
every
love
class, as long as my tech is working, the classes are free, so you can join in. I also save them if they save. It's not very flattering. It's like a picture of my upper chin, but you're supposed to have your eyes closed anyway.
Yeah.
You can put a Bluetooth speaker on your chest or behind your head and listen to the whole session.
Incredible.
And so, and they are always in season. So follow the Instagram. That's where you're going to get the most up to date.
Okay.
Okay, follow her on Instagram. We'll tag her below as well, her website, everything like that. Do you have are you moving locations, or are you going to stay at the location?
We're going to manifest
Okay.
it.
Okay.
We're
We're gonna
manifesting different
manifest it for
locations, but we'll put the
2023.
location on too. You
Yes.
can look her up, follow her on
Yes.
Instagram, all that good
Yes,
stuff.
for now we are in off of exit 65, Highway 96, so it's 109 Holiday Court, Suite A3.
There you go.
Frank.
So we'll
Come
link
see
all
her.
that good stuff. So like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff for us. And until next time, thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you
we'll
so
see y'all
much.
later.
Insurance should never be a hurdle when purchasing a home. It's one of the most important purchases of your life and should be handled with proper care.
Whether that be your first home purchase or the next addition to your portfolio. Reach out to the Sally Insurance Agency with Shelter Insurance for a free consultation so you are confident that you are protected when it matters the most.
Call Shay and Sally at 865-671-6451.